all of you. The internal party elections that took place over the last 3 months have now been settled. I want to begin by offering my sincere thanks to all party supporters, workers, delegates, councillors, affiliates, caretakers, regional chairpersons, members of parliament in my leadership of the party. I want also to thank the General Secretary and his team at the Secretariat for their efficient oversight and management, not only of the campaign but of the election day arrangements. And in this I would also like to extend thanks to the Electoral Office of Jamaica for their professional service on election day, which made the results unquestionable. The security forces, the media, and many other persons were very well ordered and organized and contributed to the success of the arrangements. The People's National Party remains a party with a vibrant internal democratic tradition. This allows each member to offer themselves for any office in the party and to campaign for that office. At the end of the day, it is the person selected by the majority of the delegates that we will all accept. Even as we cherish our democracy, whether we win, lose, or draw, whatever the outcome of the contest, we always put the party before the individual interests of any one of us. It will take 100% of the comrades to come together to ensure victory for the People's National Party. We are calling on all members of the party, all supporters, to now focus on the unity and the strengthening of the party, because we consider Jamaica to be an essential part of our country's social and political legacy. All Jamaica needs a strong People's National Party. In the finest traditions of the party, I intend to be president for all the members of the People's National Party and not just for some. It was a grueling campaign lasting 90 days. It was not perfect, and many utterances were certainly cause for hurt and cause for concern. There were also reported breaches of the party's code of conduct. We will deal with these according to the rules of the party. However, I want to pay tribute to the vast majority of our comrades who went through the process without incident and who upheld the highest traditions of the PNP's internal democracy. Having come through this campaign, we are mindful of all the issues raised during this 90 days. And in particular, we want to send a clear message, as I said, that we all want a unified party. My opponent, Comrade Peter Bunting, and the comrades who supported him can be assured of my highest consideration and my comradeship toward them. Comrade Bunting and myself held a first meeting together one-on-one yesterday, in which we discussed a number of issues, and we both reaffirmed our commitment to cooperate fully for the success of the People's National Party. We also arrived at some general agreements as to the way forward. First of all, that we will be dismantling the campaign teams, and each team is being dismantled. That each of us will name a team from our respective campaigns, led by the respective campaign managers, that will meet within the next week and begin to resolve any issues which might arise which could potentially cause conflict. There will be no recrimination or victimization of any form within the party, even as normal party functions will continue. We both agreed that our supporters should desist from attacks on other party members, whether on social media or otherwise, and that the party's code of conduct and rules must be observed. We know that a united PNP has always been victorious. Our task now is to build on the positive energies created during the campaign to resume our work in the 63 constituencies island-wide. We will continue the process of putting in place our candidates and to strengthen the party machinery on the ground. Starting this weekend in Southwest Clarendon, there will be a selection contest in that constituency where the incumbent MP, Noel Ascott, has some months ago indicated that it was not his intention to offer himself again for re-election. We will continue to bring public attention to the critical issues facing the country, including the issue of rampant crime and violence across the length and breadth of the country, and in circumstances where there is still no nationally agreed plan to combat this crime, and where the only response on the part of the government seems to be a routine and continued declaration of states of emergency. We're going to focus also on the deteriorating conditions in the economy and the rising poverty that is affecting people, and which is aided by the rapid devaluation of the Jamaican dollar. There are fundamental environmental issues that also arise in the cockpit country, but also in Bernard Lodge, and also in relation to the absence of adequate flood control arrangements in the country in the face of more intense weather-related events taking place. We all saw the flooding that was occasioned in parts of Kingston from the heavy rains which occurred a couple of days ago. There's the whole problem of our hospitals, our schools, and the general mismanagement of infrastructure projects. Not to mention, of course, the continued issue of corruption, which has reached unprecedented levels, and where we still await some definitive action from the law enforcement authorities regarding persons who have been in breach. I can give the assurance here that we in the People's National Party will not relent until someone or some persons are held accountable for the theft of public resources through the corrupt activities occurring in Petrojam, Nessal, the Caribbean Maritime University, and the other institutions. We will not relent until those responsible person or persons are held accountable in accordance with the law. The PNP is now in its final preparations for the other events associated with our 81st annual conference. This will occur in just over a week's time. In the private session of the conference, delegates will receive the amendments to the Constitution which have been discussed over the past year at all levels of the party, and we'll also have discussions of our new policy framework, the covenant with the Jamaican people, which was set forward for discussion last year. This will focus on critical areas such as education, land ownership and housing, and the new inclusive economy focused on small business and micro enterprise operations, which will bring those now marginalized from our economic life into the election alert. A campaign team will be established to carry us forward. Those are the events that we all expect to come together at what we think will be a definitive conference to be held in this party, which celebrates 81 years of existence this September. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Leader. Just if you have questions, just identify yourself and the media house which you're from.
Siobhan Campbell, Nationwide News. Dr. Phillips, you spoke about handling certain allegations and other things raised internally, but some serious allegations were made about vote buying and so-called dons. That has wider implications than just for the People's National Party. How do you plan to address those concerns?
In accordance with the rules of the party. So to say we will undertake our investigations of the matter to see if there are foundations to these allegations. Where persons are found to be in breach, then the rules that apply inside the party which prohibit these things will be brought into effect and appropriate sanctions applied.
Anthony Love, TVJ News. Any timeline for that investigation, though?
Oh, those will be undertaken immediately. Obviously, we have structures. We have an internal affairs committee and a disciplinary committee. I expect that they will be convened in the shortest possible time and begin to receive the complaints that have been made, these complaints having been formalized. A complaint that is just an rumor or allegation can't go very far. A complaint would have to have supporting evidence to be taken further, and those who are interested in making these complaints would have to bring them forward.
Nick Dawkins, Joy News. Can the public really have confidence in that investigation, since it's a case of PNP investigating itself? Why not an external body such as the Office of the Political Ombudsman?
That would be for her to decide, and she has indicated, I think, publicly that she is not of such a mind at this point. And I think that there has to be some substance that would move it forward.
Jody and Corey, Power 106 FM. There's no mention in your speech today of incorporating some of the issues that Peter Bunting would have campaigned on, issues like messaging in the party and not learning from the last party mistakes. In your meeting with him, is that something you discussed and we should be seeing going forward?
Well, as I said, we expect to go forward as one party, and these are issues, and obviously Comrade Bunting and other members of his team will be part of the very teams internally in the party moving forward with these matters. So yes, we would be taking those considerations that you have mentioned on board.
He's also offered his resignation along with Mark Golding and Dayton Campbell. Have you accepted all those resignations?
As I had indicated most recently, I'm asking all the members of the shadow cabinet to remain in place at the present time as we go forward. We can't have a vacuum. And I am very certain that members of the current shadow cabinet who supported Comrade Bunting will be included in the shadow cabinet. As I said, there will be no recriminations on the basis of support of one campaign or another.
Robian Williams, CVM TV. As it relates to the endowment fund that was made mention of during the campaign, will you be banking on it? Will you be following up on it? What will be made of it?
I must say I haven't had any formal notification regarding the endowment fund, and it wasn't raised with me. But obviously we will continue to do all we can in relation to the workers of the party. There were proposals on the way which will be brought to conclusion regarding health insurance arrangements, collective health insurance arrangements, and others. But we are certainly prepared to move on any worthwhile proposal that would come forward.
Sanjay Lewis, 4106. Following up on a question, based on your conversation yesterday with Peter Bunting, was there an indication that the members who resigned from the shadow cabinet, they will remain on board?
You mean that they will remain until conference?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, yes. I mean there is no, among the members of parliament and the senators and people who are in place, they have had no indication of anybody not wanting to do the job. I believe every single one of those persons are persons committed to the welfare and well-being of the People's National Party.
Dr. Phillips, can you say who financed the One PNP's campaign and how much money was spent?
I can't really tell you how much money was sent overall. I'm certain we still owe some. And it was financed very widely by donations that came from individuals, members within the party. There were some corporate donors who, as we request of people, who I expect gave to both campaigns, as is usually the case. There was no signal. Most of all, what I valued was the number of small donations that came from people all across the country. People who were willing to bring a 20,000 here, 10,000 there, or 50,000 there, who contributed probably the greater share of what came to our campaign.
And what can you say about the finances of the PNP as it prepares for campaigning for the general election?
Nothing in particular. We continue to approach financing in the same way I've always done it, by appealing to donors, supporters. We have prepared a web-based appeal, which has had some success, and we will proceed as we have always done, in the manner that we have always done, to seek financing for our general election.
I think the question many persons want to ask is the PNP broke?
No.
Jody and Corey again from Power 106. Fitz Jackson, this question is for you. As chair of the Election Monitoring Committee, are there still issues that you have to deal with? Are there outstanding issues or issues you'll have to escalate that came to your attention during this campaign?
Yes, as you might know, the Election Monitoring Committee was empowered by the executive of the party. We met once since the conclusion of the elections, and we will be submitting a report to the executive, and we'll be making some recommendations based upon our experiences, and then it's the executive's responsibility to decide how to proceed on those recommendations. But I wouldn't want to preempt announcing those until the executive has the benefit of seeing them.
Good morning again, Dr. Phillips, Liveran by from the Green. Dr. Phillips, you're not known as somebody to just speak in the wind. You made some assertions last week about vote buying on the other side. Your campaign communication director, MP Lisa, spoke directly to persons from the Rise United campaign paying $10,000 to influence others to vote. Will you be passing on whatever evidence you have to whatever organ within the party is conducting an investigation into the allegations of vote buying during that whole campaign?
We have, our structure involves, first of all, an internal affairs commission, which has as its mandate receiving complaints and then making a determination whether these issues require formal sanction or whether they can be resolved by other means. I expect that the Internal Affairs Commission will receive all complaints from all sides, including one PNP and others, and make a determination how they're going to go forward.
And just another question from me. You're on record as saying that some of the utterances will give rise to trust issues, and you spoke specifically to some comments made by Mr. Mark Bowling, who supported Mr. Bunting. How do you navigate those issues going forward? Can you?
I think I don't know whether we are in a different age. But this is not the first time that we have had contests. It's not the first time that we have had utterances made by people. We're going all the way back to 1952 or the 1970s or 1990s or 2000. In every family from time to time, there are moments of friction and tension. And in well-ordered families, this reality of life is overcome by people exchanging views about issues that arose. We have set up inside of the party the mechanisms to facilitate the reemergence of a more unified, collective approach. And as has been the case in the past, I have every confidence that now we will go forward together with some unity of purpose. But you know, I don't think we should think that this period in history is in any way more extreme than things that have occurred at times in the past. Contests are part of life.
Just a follow-up, Dr. Phillips asked about from the Jamaica Observer. As accepting what you just said, one of the issues you will face is a comment you made on Wednesday where you said from last Wednesday, that is, from the minute you were put in the party's top job, there were persons who never accepted the will of the people. So is that something that you have to deal with now?
In what sense?
In that there were persons opposed to your sins quietly?
Again, let me say this. Any examination of the realities of political life, from modern politics emerged in Jamaica in 1938, would find that there have always been distinct tendencies within political parties. Huh? It requires political management, the exercise of statecraft to be able to manage these different tendencies which exist. What is important is that whatever management takes place within the context of our constitutional provisions that are there to preserve our essential unity of purpose as an organization. So, you know, there was, in the 70s, people used to talk about the moderates and the radicals. There was the 4-H's tendency in the 50s. There has been the so-called Peter Portia factions of the 2000s. We survive, we come together, we campaign. I was part of the national campaign team in 2010 after having contested elections. We are most of all committed to the overarching principles, objectives of the People's National Party to build a better Jamaica with greater equity. And we remain committed to that. That's what keeps us together. And we are able to overcome differences of view, just as I'm certain in various newsrooms across the country. Not everybody sees eye to eye, but they can continue to work together. So it is in the PNP.
Sanjay Lewis.
I wanted to find that example you could relate.
Sanjay Lewis again from Power.
Yeah.
Mr. Bunting, there was a breach in, as it relates to the advertising from Mr. Bunting's campaign team, and will there be possibly sanctions be brought against Peter Bunting for breaching?
Let me put it this way. Our mind now is more positive going forward, not on looking back. You remember what happened to Lot's wife? Huh? Too much looking back. But we want to have these understandings that rules must be observed. But I don't think either side in this contest is looking at it now with a view to say, how can we settle a score and impose a penalty on someone? But how can we come to better understanding of why we need to conduct ourselves in particular ways?
Political commentators have said that there The time has come, political commentators, they have said that the time has come to change the delegate system in terms of selection process, both in the JLP and the PNP, because the delegate system allows a few persons to select the leader. Is that something you're in agreement with?
I am certainly open to it, but of course my vote is one vote in among the delegates of the party. But I am certainly open to a revisit of the basis of elections to make it more all-embracing and participatory of a wider number of our members.
How do you react to statements being made that with you as the party leader, the Jamaica Labour Party will no doubt be in government for another 5 years? Going forward, how will you encourage voters for yourself and the People's National Party?
Well, I think the most recent polls show that the PNP, with my leadership, is in a statistical dead heat with the Jamaica Labour Party. So commentators are there to comment, and we are here to organize the party to win.
Alright, final comment? Let me tell you, Bishop. Final.
You're talking about constitutional changes that will now be brought to the party. One of those is a mediation committee that we brought to a party conference at the end of this month. Mediation committee is one of those changes that should come. Will it be used to help mend some of the breaches that were clear and apparent during this contest?
All our structures will be brought to bear on the strengthening of the party and the strengthening of the party's unity as we go forward. All of them, from the executive to the subcommittees of the executive to the internal affairs committee to the mediation committee, parliamentary group, all of them.
Alright, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.